Hi guys, welcome back to Details in Hindsight. I am your host, Maddy Brown, and welcome to, I think it's episode 5 of my little PCS series, pre-CS series. Obviously, I can't really do a podcast on the move, so hopefully this bought Maddy some time, which I'm very grateful for. But this is actually the second to last episode of season 1, so we are coming to a close here for season 1, which is kind of crazy. That means hopefully future baddies had a chance to prep for season 2 and keep building and continue to just be creative. This is one of my side passions that I honestly thought I'd get sick of it by now, and I have not. So thank you guys for bearing with me as we pull through on this. But welcome back. If you are new here, feel free to hit the follow, hit the subscribe button so that way you don't miss an episode. Hit the notification bells on Spotify and YouTube so that way you don't miss out. Okay, so today's episode is going to be a rate my base episode. I plan on doing this every time I leave a base. I don't like to do it before I leave because obviously it's not the full time I'm supposed to be there. So, and also I don't want people really entirely knowing where I live. So everyone kind of knew I was in Georgia. That's kind of been the vibe. But today I get to tell you guys I am actually at Fort Gordon in Augusta, Georgia. Feels weird saying out loud on the podcast. I've been very quiet about it until this point. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally said Gordon and I've had to cut myself out. Correction, redaction, and literally the amount of times I've had to do that is insane. So this episode is everything that I loved, I hate, could work on, kind of vibes from my personal point of view of Fort Gordon. So we're just gonna go straight into it. We're gonna start with the name. Okay, Fort Gordon. Fort Gordon had an identity crisis the entire time I was here. Okay, I was here for a month and it was Fort Gordon, and the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks we got here, we weren't even here. I don't even think we were here for a full month. We got notice that it changed to Fort Eisenhower. They changed all the signs for it to be Fort Eisenhower. And then a year later, it's sent back to Fort Gordon. The snip snaps. Fort Gordon's had a little bit of an identity crisis. So we're gonna keep it up. I think we're getting there. We're gonna kind of get into it. Living, i.e. housing, there's a lot of options. Really considering a lot of military bases are in remote areas, this is not as remote as it could be. So honestly, when it comes to housing, you have a lot of options and there are great residential development area too. I heard on-base housing was pretty good. I don't want to speak on behalf of that, but I've also heard the other side, and I feel like on-base housing can kind of be hit or miss. But there were a lot of neighborhoods developing in Grovetown, and that's where Austin and I ended up when we first moved here for the first 2 years. We stayed in a little townhouse, 3 bedrooms, perfect. I would say the company we rented from was absolutely terrible. They literally scammed us out of our deposit. It was terrible. Every nook and cranny that we literally took photos of, we were like, hey, this is a problem prior to us moving in. They came back and they were like, actually, it's your responsibility to fix. So we are actually still working with them on trying to get our deposit back. We only got $200 back, and we had deep clean the entire place from head to toe. It was frustrating for sure, but they only own a couple houses, so I don't want to go into that right now. But just be careful, do your research, and if they don't have more than 4 or 5 reviews as a management company, I would just steer clear. There are plenty of places to rent from if you just want to rent or buy. There's a lot of options in that area. So honestly, when it comes to housing, you're in good hands, in my opinion. I would give housing options, I would say a 9 out of 10. I feel like you got really good areas, you got close areas, there's even Aiken. There's a lot of options that you can pick from depending on where you're at pay grade wise. So yes, depending on where you live, traffic is terrible. I can't get in and out anywhere. Grovetown's traffic is terrible. I would give that a 4 out of 10. It took me 30 minutes sometimes just to get out of my neighborhood because there was no stoplight, and the commute off base, you could tell when it was time and everyone got off shift because the entire road is just a 1 lane, so it's just one person at a time, and that base is always growing, and the road has not accommodated for that yet. They are expanding it over there at Grovetown, but that's going to take some time. So take that with a grain of salt. Let's see. Yeah, traffic, terrible. It doesn't even matter where you go. Even I live in Evans now, which is north and by the Evans Town Center. I love this area. I love this apartment. I think this was great. I got to walk my dogs everywhere. There are a bunch of parks. The library is right next door. I even live right next to the performing arts centers. So I've gotten to see a couple shows and sneak in there real quick. There's a ton of restaurants in this little area. I don't even need to drive. I can just walk and it's great. There's even a Chili's right here. So if you want something like that, I highly recommend Evans. But honestly, if you're a family of whatever, Grovetown was a great place. There were so many kids. That was a great neighborhood for kids. I always told Austin if we ended up back here, we knew where are we going to settle down, because the kids in the Grovetown area, like, it just blew up within the first year we were there. Like, we were one of the first, not even the first, but we got there, it wasn't as like packed with families, but by the time we moved out of Grovetown, packed with families. So personally, I think that's where it's at. And there's a really good church over there. Warren Grovetown is like full of kids. If you want to get intertwined, that's one of the best ways to do it. Okay, so let's see. Base layout. Getting onto base is actually kind of difficult from Grovetown because you have to either drive around or drive to the other side. And the other side is still kind of commute. Fort Gordon is probably one of the bigger bases that I've seen. It's massive in my opinion compared to like Air Force bases. To be fair, I was going from Buckley, which is little tiny Air Force base in Denver, to Fort Gordon. So for me, it was kind of a stretch. It was like I wasn't used to how big bases can get. I don't know if it's like the biggest base in the world, but it was pretty big. The commissary is pretty good. The BX was large compared to the ones I've seen, like at Goodfellow and where was the other one I saw? Oh, we went to the one in I can't remember, it was a Navy base in Pensacola, but it's definitely larger, and they definitely have options. I will say though, be careful with the BX there, because I just went and got a couple shirts, and they were Old Navy brands, and they were still like $25. But then if you went to Old Navy, same shirts, they were like half off. So just do your research before you go and shop there. Sometimes it's not the best deal. Yeah, so I give the BX and like the commissary, I would say 7 out of 10. It's not the worst. I do think they could probably clean it up a little bit. It's a little gross. It's a little dirty. The base itself is kind of run down. They're leveling up certain areas, but it's still, from an Air Force side, we just have a pavilion to do our ceremonies. It's smaller, but obviously it's not my home base. Gym itself was gross. I'm not gonna lie. I used the gym on base like a couple times. One, because it's like far away from where I live. And then two, dress code. Like 2, dress code. And 3, I don't know. It was just one of those, like, I feel like it being the military, you would expect military gyms to be one of the best. You know what I'm saying? I'm not expecting like collegiate nice, but like better than Planet Fitness. But I feel like we got the Planet Fitness drop-offs, and that's the best way I could describe that gym. So, I mean, the people that take care of it still do the best they can, but the equipment is definitely run down. Half the time I was there, a lot of the stuff was either really, really old or it was about to break. So, thankfully, at this apartment building, I have a gym here, so I've just been using that. But I do see this also being a problem in my near future at the next base. But let's see. Food, restaurants. You have options here. I would give it a 9.5. There's so many options you could try here. I will say, like, you got a lot of great Italian restaurants. There's a lot of Mexican restaurants. There's Montego Bay that's really good. You got a lot of variety here, which is great. Especially downtown. There's a really cute taco spot called Taco Cat. Love that place. Soleil, they have like the best mashed potato egg rolls if you want to just like go out downtown and just like feast your heart out. That's a great spot to do it. I think it's Olivans. I think that's what it's called. There's a Italian spot in the Surrey Center. Surrey Center has a bunch of restaurants as well too, like Abel Brown. That's a little pricey. And same with, I think it's Fifth and Finch. Yeah, that's a great restaurant too. There is a cute little breakfast nook called the Bodega in Surrey Center as well. Love it. It's so cute. They only do breakfast, kind of brunch. I think they close by 2, but it's a really cool spot. So if you want to go try that out, I highly recommend it. And then let's see, what else? Lifestyle, social things to do off base. You have a ton of variety. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of things going on in Augusta. There's always something going on. There's parks, there's events, there's libraries. Masters happen once a year here. There's always something going down in Augusta, and there's always something coming into Augusta. Like the Evans Theater always has a show going on at some point. There's always like a parade, a 4th of July. Indian Queen's kind of where it's at too. It's a little bar that people go to. It's kind of fun. So if you ever get a chance to go to Indian Queen, it's a nice little pub. That's the way I could describe it. And then, yeah, things to do. There's always something. There's Topgolf. There's a ton of movie theaters. There's like 3 or 4. There's Augusta Mall. It's not like the safest mall. There's been a few incidences at the Augusta Mall, so be careful. But there's shopping there as well. And then also they do have a regional airport that is a lot easier to get out of than most bases. So that's really nice. It's just a quick little flight from Augusta to either Atlanta or Charlotte, and then you can get to wherever you're going next for sure. So lifestyle and just like things to do, I would also give it probably an 8 out of 10. I'm just like on things to do off base and on base. I honestly didn't really get plugged in on base. I think that was an L on my part. I don't know, it was really hard for me when I first got there, and then I made friends outside of base, so I didn't feel like the need to go on to base to make friends. So, but I do know that will change for me at this next one, so stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'd give things to do in Augusta would probably be, 8 out of 10 for sure. And there's also like pottery classes, there's a bunch of yoga spots. I used to work at a gym. That was great. Like Pilates. You have a lot of fitness options as well. I would say on a scale of like 1 to 10 for like fitness, you're probably at a 9. You got a lot of options. There's the Evans Fitness Center. Oxygen just opened another location in Westlake. And then there's another location in Surrey Center. They just opened a Crunch Fitness. There's a Pilates studio where it's right by me, but I can't, there's a bunch of little Pilates options as well. There's a bunch of little yoga studios as well. So you do have variety and options when it comes to gyms outside of base as well. Going into how would I rate making friends? I would say that a 5 out of 10. I'm not gonna lie. But this is a me thing. I don't know. I got really depressed when I first moved here because I just like left my entire life behind. I moved to Georgia for the first time. Your first base when you're first moving is the hardest because it's a whole new world and you're just adjusting to having to give up everything consistently, but then also like trying to make new friends at the same time. I'm such a slow burn. Like I love to get to know people and I want to like take the time to do that. But in the military world, sometimes you don't get that option. So that's just kind of an L. But also, every time I tried to reach out to people in the military world, it wasn't met with the same enthusiasm or the same level of interest. So, I don't know. I would say it's like a 5 out of 10. I think I would have done better if I was a mom. There's a lot of mom groups here. I think, honestly, if you got stationed here and you're a family, this is like one of the best spots you could probably be stationed. It's a very family-oriented spot. When it comes to like youngsters and like young 20s or young just married couples, it's harder for sure because usually people get married and then they leave. So when it comes to the locals at least. So yeah, I will also say like Augusta is such a friendly place, but it is a very cliquey place. It's hard to break into the cliques. So just be careful with which ones you join. I also recommend like also going to the gym and meeting new people and not just like closing yourself off just to just military friends. There are plenty of options outside here and you just never know. You never know. So I think there's one thing I did wish I did was just be a little less, I feel like I tried too hard at this base. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to learn from that. And I'm going to just stay the course at the next base. Cause like right now I feel like I'm at a good pace. So I'm going to keep that up at the next base and hopefully that works out in my favor. But yeah, events and morale. So Air Force wise, obviously this is an Army base, not that many. And if there were, it was usually for the service members and like wives could go, which were great, but they were few and far between. And then every time like Austin would come and tell me about it, he wouldn't want to go to those. So I didn't really get an opportunity to go to any of the events except for we went to one Christmas party and it went pretty good. I mean, I thought that was fun. Well, I think I'm going to hit a pin in that one because I think that was more situational. So all right, schools, kids, activities, and safety. Okay, so for schools, you have a lot of options. The education system, from what I've heard, again, not a mom, is pretty good. So I would ask someone that is a mom to clarify that and continue that. But I've heard other moms here, and they said it was probably one of the best when it comes to being stationed somewhere. So schools, from what I've heard, are pretty good. There's a lot of kids. There's a lot of families. So I would say if you are a mom and you got a big family, this is a great spot to be. When it comes to safety, I felt relatively safe on this base. And even in the community around, like I don't feel like I'm in a bad area. I feel Augusta's just, it's the South, like everyone's just got that Southern heart. I loved it, honestly. I did feel really safe here. I didn't feel like I was like on edge all the time. I felt like I could walk my dogs and it not be an issue. So when it comes to safety, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The mall, there are some spots like all places that are like, oh, okay. Maybe we think about that for a second, but like all bases, there's always gonna be that one spot. So you'll figure it out pretty quickly when you get here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so medical, that's a 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10. Yeah, 2 out of 10. That's the best I could rate it, honestly. If I could give it negative stars, I would. But I had a really good nurse, so that's why you get a 2. So No, it was terrible. I mean, I had a tumor in my ear and it took us a year to figure it out because the doctors weren't available. We had a hurricane hit and so everything got delayed. I couldn't even see my ENT for like 6 months. Like it was absolutely insane. The paperwork that goes into it is insane. And to even just get a referral out takes like a million years to get done. So just come with patience, come with your records ready, is they're gonna be like, I want to see the notes. And you'll have the notes. Just come prepared because you're in it for the long haul for sure at Fort Gordon and I think it's Eisenhower Hospital. There's something about Eisenhower Hospital though. I'll tell you what, every time I go up to at night, because apparently all my issues were in the middle of the night, I'd go up to go to the pharmacy at the second floor and I come down. I don't know what elevator I kept using to go downstairs, but I would go either like a floor too far or something, and I felt like I was in a different universe every time I walked in that hospital. It's like a maze. It's hard to get out of if you don't know what you're doing. So just keep that in mind. Also, like, the doctors themselves are great. It's just getting to the doctors because the doctors are overrun and overbooked because this hospital is understaffed 100%. So be aware that they'll probably refer you out to either Wellstar or I think it's Piedmont. Wellstar was great. I had my surgery with Wellstar. They were good. I would just say be careful with, timing, because like you just gotta be on top of it when it comes to the healthcare here. Unfortunately, I wish it was easier, but it's just not. So my thoughts are with you, especially if you have someone that needs it consistently. You just gotta establish that as soon as you get here, so that way you can get on the calendar as soon as you can, because it will take time. So I wish you luck. I'm not going to miss it. 2 out of 10. The only reason why it's a 2 out of 10 is because I had a great nurse that helped me exit and get my referral out to Wellstar. Wellstar was great. And it's just so bizarre to me because we have the VA here, we have Wellstar, we have the entire Augusta nursing program here, but somehow we're still understaffed. But Eisenhower, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I do think Eisenhower needs a better budget. I don't know what the budget is. I'm not in charge of it, but for what I've had to deal with and how to get stuff done, I've had to bring my husband to pretty much every medical appointment to get stuff done, because if it was just me, the wife, the spouse, nothing got done. So I don't know why it was like that, but it just was. Yeah, Austin hates it, but I gotta get stuff done. Like, when you get a tumor like that, like, sorry buddy, you're coming with it. He's happy to do it. It's just my reality here, but I'm excited to not have that reality anymore. My reality is about to shift, but yeah, I will not miss that. Sorry. Career and personal growth. I would say I'd give that a 9 out of 10. You actually do have a lot of options here. I will say you do need to know somebody kind of vibe, because it is a very tight-knit community. I got super lucky with my job. I had a recruiter reach out to me and I ended up getting the job that I have currently, but will be leaving this week, unfortunately. But there are a lot of opportunities here. There's a lot of development happening as well. I mean, this town is exploding pretty much like overnight all the time. So, if one road doesn't work, there are other options. You do have, it's better shots to grow your career than I would say like a smaller base. This town is not as small as it seems. I'll put it like that. So I'd give that an 8.5 actually. 8.5 for personal growth, because there are a lot of opportunities. You just gotta be strategic about it. So yeah. And also they do have schools here. So if you want to grow your education, you could totally do that here. Absolutely. All right. Let's see the fun category. Overall, would you cry if you got orders here? I wouldn't cry. I'd be disappointed because I want to go see other stuff and I want to keep traveling, but I wouldn't, if I had a family in like 5 years and we got restationed here at a couple bases, I wouldn't be upset, because I think this would be a great place to continue to raise a family. So no, I would not be upset. Deployment survival rating. Ooh, I would say, gosh, I've been here all by myself for the last 9 months. Yeah, 9 out of 10, actually. I had the resources to go back home, so I could go visit my family. I have my 2 dogs here. The community here understands that there is a big military presence here, and if you are involved in church and if you are involved in things, the community here is a very supportive one. So I will say, like, during my tumor and all that, like, everybody was so supportive, and I did not expect that, honestly. I'm used to the Denver altitude. This was kind of refreshing, actually. No, I would say deployment survival rating, I would say you would survive. And I would say it's like 8, 9 out of 10, honestly. You could be in worse spots, okay? You could be in the desert. like me very soon. What would be the red flags and what would be the green flags? Okay, I would say your red flags moving here would be probably traffic. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. It didn't matter where I lived. It was just absolutely horrendous. I-20, the worst. And then let's see. My second red flag would be healthcare. It is just overloaded with veterans, which we're grateful for, but we don't have the supply to take care of it. They need more people. So if you're a nurse, this is actually a great opportunity for you. My other one would be the clicks. It's a little clicky here. It's a little bit. So just be careful who you talk to, who you're friends with. I would just, I didn't really have too big of issues, but there were a few times where I was just like, I'm not built for the South. So, just kind of watch out for the clicks. Just, do your own thing. And then I would say red flags. He acts like a year ago, Maddie, she'd be like, it's going to be X, Y, but now I feel like I have got like graduation goggles on. So I'm like, I love this place. And maybe just since I'm going to the desert. But yeah, I would say those are like my top 3 red flags for that. Green flags, I would say one is there's a lot of opportunity to take care of yourself. So like there's a lot of walking trails, there's a lot of gyms, there's a lot of places to take care of yourself, which I really appreciated. And just the opportunity to make friends, that is, I would say, a good one. 2, there are a lot of churches here. So if you want to get involved, there's plenty to pick from. 3, I would say, is probably just the uniqueness of Augusta. Like the Masters is here, and there's just like when the Masters week happens, it's like a different aura. I don't know how to describe it. It is once in a lifetime kind of base, in my opinion, because if you do get the opportunity to go to the Masters, or, just even being in town for that, a lot of people hate it because they think it's too crowded. I love it because it changes up the energy. You don't know who you're going to meet either. Like the parties happen outside of the Masters too. So keep that in mind. But yeah, Masters week is the town turns into a whole different place. Like I've never seen a town put its best face forward as well as Augusta does when it comes to hosting an event. So Masters Week can't get chaotic and crazy, but it's actually a really fun time if you know what you're doing. So 10 out of 10, I'd highly recommend the Masters if you can go. Yeah, so that'd probably be that. Scoring overall, I would probably rate this base, I'd give it an 8.5. Overall, this is a really great base for me and Austin to continue to grow in our relationship, and then to be able to do long distance here as well, and also grow my career and also be creative. Like I started this podcast here. I got Oakley here. That's another thing, actually. Columbia County has a great shelter. They have so many dogs. Please feel free to go and check them out. And a lot of their dogs don't like the photos online are a little blurry, and their Facebook page is a little blurry. I highly recommend going in because Oakley did not look like his profile pic, I'm not gonna lie. So, and we got very lucky with Oakley. We're very grateful for the little man. So yeah, okay. Other than that, let's see. Yeah, I would just say 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. I'm actually gonna miss my work. I'm gonna miss my job for sure. But I know, with being a military spouse, this comes with the territory, and I just kind of had to swallow my pride and power through. So this time next week, we'll be packing up my stuff here, and we'll be gone. Yeah, but I would say overall, if you're getting orders and you're coming to Fort Gordon, you're going to be A-okay. It's a great spot to be. It does get hot. It's the summer, but I would say, honestly, it's one of the best places to be. And it's only 2 hours from Atlanta, but there's also an airport here. It's a little more expensive, but you can take the airport to Atlanta and Atlanta to wherever. Not the easiest to get to. I wish it was closer to Atlanta, I'm not going to lie, but, everything happens for a reason. Out of all of the options we could have had for our first base, we actually got extremely lucky, and we're very grateful for that opportunity. And now the time has come. I gotta go, which is wild. I feel like the last 3 years went by so slowly, and now I woke up and it's like, hey, time to go to the next one. I don't know what's next at the next base, but I'm hopeful. And hopefully in 3 years you can see another Rate My Base episode, which I'm excited to do because I don't want to go. So, that's going to be my favorite episode in 3 years, but it's all good. We're going to make it work. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I hope that helps, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Fort Gordon's a really great place to be. The people here are very sweet and genuine, and honestly, like once you find your crew, it's great. Anyway, say hi, but also just have fun. There's so many things to do here. Like, continue to try new things. There's a lot of resources here to go kayaking, there's horseback riding on base. Like, there's a lot of things to do here. You will not get bored. And there's a lot of golfing here, so if your husband's a golfer, he's gonna love it. They actually just opened another golf course. I think it's called The Pitch. I think. Don't quote me on that. And yeah, so there's a lot coming up. And I think they're opening a Trader Joe's, so this town is literally exploding every day. I always told my mom when I was here, I was like, look, I think this place is like once a month we get a new thing. Yeah, so Aiken, which is like right down the street, is also developing too, so there's a lot of options. So I wish you well if you're coming to Fort Gordon, and I just hope you have a good time. It's a good vibe. Enjoy it. Enjoy the summer heat and enjoy just living in the South. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm gonna pray us out, and then I'll see you guys for the last episode of season 1. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, Lord. I am grateful for the opportunity to be here at Fort Gordon. I have learned so much from this base, and I've learned so much about myself and how I am as a military spouse, who I am outside of being in the military, and all that jazz. Lord, I am just grateful for the opportunity to be kind of sad that I'm leaving, and to be able to say, man, I actually kind of sucks. So, because if you told Maddy that 3 years ago, she would have not said the same thing. So Lord, thank you for the opportunity to continue to grow and evolve and just continue to try new things. Lord, I just pray that as I'm heading towards the next space, you're opening the doors for the people that are coming here. So in your name, amen. All right, guys, this is bittersweet. If you have not yet already, hit the follow, hit the subscribe. That way you don't miss an episode. Well, next week's episode is going to be my little hurrah to the apartment, and just one last episode. An apartment. I can't believe I could say that out loud. Yeah, apartment 4303. I'm just going to miss it. But I'll see you guys next week. All right. Bye.